I find it very pivotal that we as educators are looking at ways to always bring in the community into our schools and to make it a real community school. I'd like to start off with a quote that I feel is really a strong quote in terms of where I would like to take this discussion, and it comes from Sarah Jerome, who was the then Aboriginal Language Commissioner, and it goes as follows. To be proud of who you are, you need a foundation of where you came from. And that's a very strong statement when you come from an Aboriginal perspective. That if you do not know where you come from, it is very hard to see where you're going to go. And in terms of our students and the population to whom we serve, that is a big challenge. For a lot of our students, they are in a system that sometimes doesn't acknowledge who they are as an Aboriginal student. In my years of service to our students, it is really key that they understand, and I think not just them, all of us as people, human beings, that we have a sense of place. And what does that sense of place mean in terms of myself, how I see myself in relation to the land, to others, to the animals, to the spiritual part of our worldview, and more importantly, to myself. Where do I see myself and how do I move myself into situations that would better others, improve their livelihoods, serve them? And that's a big undertaking to take. But I think when you're in the field of education and you desire and you have a dream and you have a wish to move forward, then it makes that much more of an important task for you to challenge yourself into reaching that goal. Sarah Jerome's quote is really vital for me because Sarah is an assistant superintendent of the Beaufort Delta Education Council. And when I first started my journey in education, it was her vision to see cultural-based education. And it was a vision that was not shared by all. A very tasking undertaking to have when you are Aboriginal in a system that still is not appreciative of where you come from. In my years of service with her, I would hope that by the end of this speech or this topic that I'm speaking on is that we empower each other to understand that that vision needs to be part of who we are at Moose Kerr School. It needs to be built into our school, in our daily lives, and to the daily lessons that we give out to our students. Not every student comes equipped with a sense of place. Not every student has the experience of being out on the land. Not every student has that fortunate family support to be a learner. And Moose Kerr School, in our evolution as a school, has tried to reach out to those students who need us the most. Every learner is important, but there are students who don't have those capabilities, don't have the extra support that they need. In terms of their learning, there has to be a balance between culture and academics, and the Western perspective of education is highly academic. The Aboriginal perspective doesn't dismiss the academics, but they're very much more culturally oriented. So the whole question is, how do we balance that? How do we bring them together? How do we encourage and empower our students to be solid learners in the 21st century? It cannot happen on its own. It cannot happen with students coming into a school every day on its own. It requires teamwork. It requires good teaching. It requires strong parental support. But more importantly, it requires the will to reach these kids, to teach to their needs, to their strengths, and to bring them on side. In a school system that is predominantly Western perspectives, it is a very daunting task to make those changes. Not impossible, but very daunting. So we were very blessed in the sense that Moose Kerr School had an elders advisory group, and it still works with us to this very day. Those elders felt that it was very important that if this school was to become a community school, the ownership of the school belongs to the community. They felt that they had to see a blend of our Aboriginal culture and the academics together. And how would that look? How would it unfold? How would it feel? And by whose measurement do we measure it by? Because the elders really felt that a young learner in this day world, in our world today, is that they are struggling. They are struggling because there are so much things that are opposing them as learners. And that sense of self, that sense of identity, that sense of who you are, is a very shallow component, and they did not want that to be lost. And their way of bridging that gap was, is there culture in this school? Is this school representing the community? And if it doesn't, then it should be. Because the elders spoke of how the young people are brought out on the land, they see the skill set, they see how they are taught, they see how they have patience, and they see a cyclical type of learning happening. That it's not linear, that it's not measured from year to year. It's measured through time and through practice and through exposure and through role modeling. With that in mind, the elders felt that that same student, when we look at that student through the lens of an educator's eyes and through a parent's eyes and through an elder's eyes, should be one and the same. It should not be where there's a disjoint and that we have teachers coming and saying, this is a child that does not want to learn. Every child wants to learn. Every child has a desire to learn. Every child can be an achiever. It is incumbent upon us as educators to uplift them, to provide support to them, to give guidance to them, and God forbid, even self-direct them, because some of our students really do need that. This is a very strong quote that was from John Beazle, a Cleachel educator, a politician, a spiritual healer, and he mentioned that the more camps you have, the more you know. And what he was referencing is that our young people of today need to know their history, need to know their culture, and they will learn from visiting many camps repeatedly over time. And that for every time that they meet a camp, more knowledge is brought to them, more insight, more understanding, and development and progression can happen. In a school system, it's similar from one grade to the next. But if we're going to be really a culturally oriented school, it's not the academics that we should be so focused on. It's a blending of both. That you can take that outside learning, you can take the classroom outside, you can have a combination of both, and that learning should be a balance of two worlds. They should be able to see math and English and science and social in their cultural learning. It exists. Maybe we are not looking hard enough to help them. Our own journey is a long journey. Coming into this building in 1993 and to see the disjoint and to see that teachers were not committed, not dedicated enough to stay here and remain with our students. Some came with a world of knowledge to help us to move forward, but you know what? They move on. And looking inwards, if things are going to change, if the journey is going to become strong, then it's a matter of everything on the inside needs to change. We need to empower the people who are here, the Aboriginal staff, the Aboriginal support staff, the teachers who are here committed to their students. And that was a big change to look upon, to make a 360-degree changeover, a flip for them. And that was a very hard thing to do too, because remember, they weren't used to having leadership. They weren't used to being empowered. They weren't used to being asked their opinion or if their voice counted. And that was about to change, because if we were going to make a difference for the kids who we serve, then that's what had to happen. And it had to start with small things, with scheduling, with looking at the way we deliver our programs, and looking at our achievement, and where were we looking for? What was our vision? What is our goals? Where do we want to take our students? The elders spoke to leadership, and they mentioned that leadership is like a family. Everyone shares and owns that leadership, from the baby to the grandmother. That there is no hierarchy of power. It is all circle and shared. Because for every component of that family unit, there's a time when one leader will stand up more than the other. But at the end of the day, it is the family unit, the leadership, that will drive and strive for change. And I think Moose Creek School has come very far with those changes. Part of those changes just didn't happen within the schedule of learning, with your academics. It also took a really hard look at cultural programming and Aboriginal language. Did it have equal weight? Do we value both sides of the worldviews? Do we feel it's important? And most importantly, do our students feel it's important? You look at the stats from the 1990s to 1999, 3 graduates. That's a very telling stat in itself. And of those 3 graduates, none belong to this school or this community. So that changeover had to be a buy-in, had to be a commitment. It had to be a driven notion that all of our students can succeed. They are capable. They are strong-willed. They are resilient. They come from a strong Aboriginal perspective. And if we don't honor that, and if we don't make those changes for them, how would that learning ever be able to come forth? How can they be empowered? Student success. Avoid negative responses. Touch them. Let them know you care. Always use positive reinforcement. So the mindset didn't have to just change with our staff, it had to change with our students. To believe in themselves, to know that they are capable. To walk tall, to walk proud, that they can and will be a graduate of Moose Creek School. That we value them, that we honor them, that they will be the leaders that we want them to be, and that we want them coming back to our community to contribute, to reciprocate, to be a part of their community, not in isolation, but to come back to that family unit and take their true place as leaders. One of our elders in our elders committee made a comment: if we are to make a difference for those whom we serve, we must first ensure that we are putting their interests ahead of ours. With all the demands on education, with all the expectations coming from new programming, new efforts, new initiatives, it is really a hard task to look at what that would mean in terms of delivering our school to meet those needs. And what does success mean to you would mean something else to another teacher. Finding a commonality, creating a vision together, supporting that vision, being determined to carry that vision out. 20 years later, 25 years later, education is a very slow progress in the North. Achievement and growth, if we are to always use the Western perspective's measuring tools, we would not be anywhere. Student self-direction, if they don't have the buy-in, if they don't see the value of their own learning, they cannot reach that goal themselves. It's incumbent upon each of us as stakeholders, as parents, grandparents, community people, teachers, friends, peers. We need all of us to move our students from kindergarten to grade 12. It is a collaborative effort. It is not done in isolation. No one student crosses the stage without looking back and reflecting and saying, I've had good teachers, both traditional teachers and academic teachers, to bring me to where I am. Student ownership. In the 14 years of being a principal here, we've come full circle. We have students standing up to issues. We have student participation. We have students' voices are heard. We have student self-pride. We have 101 graduates to this very day. That's a milestone. That's an achievement to be celebrated by all. It's not one person. It's this family. It's this team. It's the kindergarten student that walks through that first door, and it's this grade 12 student that exits the last door. Student success is our success. We are at a point now where I look back and I reflect and I say to each and every one of you, that success can continue. We are far from where we need to go. We are far from Sarah Jerome's vision. She started out wanting cultural-based education. We are in the thrust of living it for her, carrying it through. But the end dream is to have Aboriginal immersion schools, owning your own schools, creating your own curriculum, designing courses for success for our students, building on our strengths. Not an easy task. Actually, it's a very challenging one, but that's what we need. We need to continue to challenge each other. I'm asking you for your help. I'm demanding that you come and help me make more campfires for our students. They need them. They need your wisdom. They need your guidance. They need your support. Those campfires should not be put out. They should grow. We should have bonfires if we are all committed to student success, Aboriginal success, and another generation of graduates. Thank you.